So in the previous lecture, we reviewed this small program. And in this program, we have read after write, write after write, and write after read dependence. And because of these dependence, in the pipeline, we have these bubbles. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 and 6 cycle, 5th and 6th cycle, we have 2 cycle bubbles because of read after write dependence. The instruction 3, multiply, is waiting for R1 and R2 to be stored on into register file. So you can read R1 here, R2 here. So the multiply can proceed. They can read register R1 and R2 from the register file at this cycle. At this cycle, it cannot read because it has not written to the register file. Okay, next cycle, it can read R1, but it cannot read R2. But in this cycle, it can read both R1 and R2. So it generates 2 cycle store. Store is a pipeline control. So instruction at the read stage must be stopped. Because if you proceed, if you read from the register file, it might read the old value of R1 and R2. Right? Then it will produce the wrong result. So the pipeline control logic should check this dependence. If there is read after write dependence, then this consumer instruction must wait until the producer produces the data in the register file. The third cycle here, it can read both R1 and R2, and then control logic relays the instruction at the read stage, and it can proceed. Okay, and because the multiply is waiting at the read stage, the decode stage and fetch stage, 2 following instruction cannot proceed because it's blocked by the instruction at the read stage. So they are stalling at the decode stage and fetch stage. So read stage stall actually stop instruction at read stage and decode stage and fetch stage. Okay, this is 2 pipeline stall. So similarly, if you look at this 5th instruction, sub instruction is waiting for R3 and R4. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For example, here, it's trying to read R3. Okay, R3 is available. It's trying to read R4. R4 is available here, so it generates 2 cycles. So every time there is a read after write dependence, you generate 2 cycles store, and 2 cycles store, 2 cycles store, and so on. Okay, so if you generate too many store cycles, even if you employ pipelining, the pipeline will slow down and it will degrade your performance. Okay, so we have to think about here. First, to make the machine to produce the correct result, you have to check these dependence at runtime by hardware. Okay, and whenever you find this dependence, the consumer instruction or the instruction behind must be stopped to produce the correct result. Okay. Let's look at the same example, but we change the architecture, the machine a little bit to make it more realistic. So in this same program, we assume multiply instruction. The execution takes 6 cycles instead of a single cycle because multiply is more complex. You need to compute partial product and you have to sum it all, right? So here if you look at this pipeline diagram, the execution of multiply instruction, at the execution stage it takes 6 cycles. Okay? And we also assume here that we have adder, we can do adder and subtractor, and we have separate multiplier, we can do multiplication. So you have multiplier and adder. Just small assumption. Okay? If you change the machine organization a little bit, then the pipeline diagram is also should be modified. Okay, let's look at the same program example. The first instruction, fetch, decode, read, execute, write back. Second instruction, no dependence, right, between first two instructions. The third instruction is trying to read R1 and R2. R1 available here, R2 is available here. It's reading R1 and R2 here. But multiply is more complex. It might take 6 cycles. And then it's writing back. Okay? If you look at the fourth instruction, add instruction, I change a little bit, so there is no dependence between these 3 instructions and the fourth instruction. So if you look at the fourth instruction, because of the instruction dependence between instruction 1 and 3 and 2 and 3, it generates 2 cycles storage before. And here, after decode, you can read R5 and R6 because there is no dependence. And it's doing the addition because you have separate adder, right? If you don't have separate adder, if you share adder with multiplier, the arithmetic unit can do add, subtract or multiply at the same time, right? If you have single unit, then you cannot send this instruction to the ALU because it's used by multiply. So sometimes you have to wait. But here, the assumption is you have separate adder and multiplier. Okay? So multiplier is being used, but you can send it to the adder. It can write back because it's nothing to do with the other instruction. It's independent instruction. So even though this instruction is behind, it can complete ahead of earlier instruction. Okay? So even in order pipeline means instructions going through the pipeline in program order. If you look at this fetch, decode, read stage, they are always going through the pipeline at fetch, decode, read stage in program order. Okay? So here these are called instruction pipeline. These execution and write back, these are called back-end pipeline. Okay? So even though instructions proceed into the instruction pipeline in program order, they can complete out of order at the execution stage because some instruction takes more cycles than the other instruction. Okay, so you have seen out of order completion. Right. Okay. Okay, let's look at fifth instruction, subtract. And there is a read after write dependence on R4. Okay, because of this stall, it's waiting in the fetch stage 2 more cycles, and decode is trying to read R1 and R4. R1 is available, but R4 is available here. But it actually, so you generate 2 cycles because of read after write dependence. And this cycle you can read R1 and R4 both. But you should not make it to proceed because if you look at here, between multiply and subtract, there is a write after write dependence. Okay? So if you allow it to proceed, then it will read, execute, and write back, and it will be overwritten by earlier instruction. So whenever the future instruction is looking at R3, it's reading the wrong value instead of new value. So at the read stage, you have to check read after write dependence and also write after write dependence. So because of write after write dependence, the instruction at the read stage must be stalled for more cycles until you make sure that you write after the first try. So it generates 2 more cycles stalled, and then you release the instruction and read, execute, write back. It's writing after the first try. Okay, so it's you can avoid write after write dependence violation. Okay. So it generates actually 4 cycles stalled. 2 cycles are due to read after write dependence. 2 cycles are due to write after write dependence. Okay, and the 6th instruction fetch because of these 4 cycles stalled, it's waiting at the decode stage for 4 cycles, and then it decode. It's trying to read R3, but there is a read after write dependence between instruction 5 and 6. So you generate 2 cycles stall because of read after write dependence, and then you read and execute and write back. Okay? So if I give you program code, if I give you the hardware assumption, then you should generate its pipeline diagram, and you have to explain each stall why you generate stall. So this is the to read after write dependence, or write after write dependence, and so on. 이해되죠? 질문. Okay.
In digital system class,
Mm-hmm.
we learn to lower execution time. We can change the
Mm-hmm.
순서를 바꾸는
What kind of order?
For example, line 3
Mm-hmm.
multiply. It need to read R1 and R2
Mm-hmm.
after 1, 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we, but line 4,
Mm-hmm.
there is no need to read R1 and R2.
Mm-hmm.
So we first execute number 2.
Ah, you mean changing the instruction order?
Yes. We learn that.
Do you learn that from digital logic?
Digital system.
Digital system. It's actually beyond the scope of digital system, actually. It's compile optimization. It's not digital logic. So the compiler, as I said, you can do back-end optimization, okay? So at the front end produce some intermediate code. This is more like a machine independent symbolic machine code. And then the back end is trying to optimize instruction for their machine. And here, so if you change this order, okay, even if you change this order, the program result should be the same. Okay? So in this case, if you change this order, you can move this instruction ahead and multiply can be executed later. And sometimes by changing this order, you can hide this kind of latency a little bit. Sometimes you can eliminate stall cycles. That's possible. Okay? So actually, if you look at the textbook, sometimes there is a question that asks you to change the order of instruction so that you can reduce the stall cycle also. That's more compile optimization. Okay? It's possible. It's possible. So the machine performance is determined by the machine itself and also by the compiler. Because the compiler, by changing the order of instruction, you can improve the performance as well. So that's why many research compiler is doing lots of optimization, and they can improve performance a little bit. Okay? Mm-hmm. Other question?
In fifth line, can we store the E instead of R?
At the execution stage.
Yeah.
So that's another good question. So you're raising good questions right now. You can generate execution stage stalls, but it's better to make this control logic at the same stage. If you make sometimes read stage stalled or sometimes execution stage stalled, this control logic are distributed. It's harder to control and the hardware is somewhat replicated. So if the effect is the same, then you have to move all this control logic at the same stage, and read stage, and generate stall. That's more simple, small, and maybe more efficient. Okay? So you usually generate read stage stall, but you can, so pipeline control logic can be moved into other stages also. Okay? So if you look at the real machine design, for example, Itanium processor, which I was involved, it's quite complex. So there is a read stage stall, there is a execution stage replay mechanism, which means sometimes you do something wrong and you have to redo it. So that those are all control logic. But as long as you understand the basics, you can understand the more complex things because they are trying to improve their machine efficiency by changing a little bit. And it's a kind of optimization. Okay? Other question?
What is the dead code?
Dead code? Dead code. Dead code means since here R3, if you look at store instruction, they are using the result of subtract instruction, and this result is actually not used by other instruction. So it's actually dead code. So this can be also eliminated by compiler. Okay, it's easily can be eliminated. Other question? 이게 여기 있어서 쉽나? Okay. Okay. So let's think about the machine design. Let's go back to the machine. So you have seen this pipeline diagram. This is some logical view of the pipeline, how the instructions going through the pipeline, how they are processed by the machine. Okay. So it's processed at different stage: fetch stage, decode stage, read stage, execute stage, and write back stage. But here, as I said, you have to check to control this pipeline. You have to check read after write dependence, write after write dependence, and whenever you find dependence, you have to stall the pipeline, which means you have to generate read stage stalled. So instruction at read stage must be stopped, and decode and fetch stage has to be stopped as well, right? So how you generate that kind of logic? This is called pipeline stall. We have two mechanisms, basic mechanism of pipeline control. One is pipeline stall. The other we learn is pipeline flush. Pipeline stall means you stop the pipeline to preserve the dependence. That's the pipeline stall. Pipeline flush is sometimes you are doing something wrong, like branch misprediction, which we'll study. Sometimes you predict branch, and if the branch is taken in the other way, then you have to remove the instruction from the pipeline and you have to restart. That's called pipeline flush. It's removing instruction from the pipeline. Okay? Let's talk about this pipeline stall logic. To check read after write dependence, you have to have dependence checking, which means you have to compare the instruction at the read stage. You have two sources, R1 and R2, and each register number, register ID must be compared at the execution stage and write back stage instruction. Okay? So it's actually comparators. What is comparator? Exclusive NOR. Okay? Whether equal or not equal. Okay? So register ID should be, this is MIPS processor, so you have 32 registers. So register ID is represented by 5-bit digit. Right? 5-bit binary numbers. Okay? So you have to check 5-bit binary numbers between source at the read stage and destination at the execution at write back stage. So read after write dependence, you need register ID comparators between the source of consumer instruction at the read stage and the destination of producer instruction at the execution and write back stage. Okay? So think about the pipeline from the hardware point of view. You have instruction pipeline, fetch, decode, read stage. So fetch stage, you might have an instruction cache or memory. You send your program counter, memory returns the instruction. Decode stage, there should be an instruction buffer. From the instruction buffer, you decode, opcode, what kind of operation? You decode source number. Right? At the read stage, there should be a register file. You read registers from the register file, and you send it to the back end. Okay, this is front end. Back end, you have maybe integer ALU, integer operation. As I said, this is quite simple operation. Integer operation might take one cycle, and it's writing back at the next cycle. There might be floating point unit, which might have take 4 cycles for instruction execution, because floating point arithmetic, add or subtract or multiply, this is more complex. You have significant and exponent. You have to separately process those components and then write back. And memory is usually takes a little longer than integer execution. So assume that memory takes 2 cycles. So this is for data cache access, data memory. You have to send your address, and from the memory you get the data, right? And then you write back to register file. Okay, so this is integer ALU. This is floating point unit. This is memory. And this is usually called instruction pipeline. So in general, we can view this as front end, and this is called back end. Similar to compiler, the machine pipeline can be divided into front end, which is actually get the instruction from memory and is producing instruction, producer of instruction. The back end is consuming instruction and executing the instruction. So this is producing instruction, this is consumer. Okay, we have front end and back end. So to check the dependence, if you look at the instruction at read stage, there are some instructions. This instruction, usually for machine instruction, there are 2 source and 1 destination. So 3 operand instruction. You have 2 source operand and 1 destination operand. Okay? So each source can be a register. So you have 2 source. Let's assume they're represented by this triangle. And let's represent destination by circle. Okay? So each instruction have 2 sources and 1 destination. And instructions are here, here, here. And instruction can be here, here, here. At each pipe stage, there might be instruction. Okay? And to check read after write dependence, how many? So for to check read after write dependence, this source numbers, register number, should be compared with destination register number here. Okay, destination register number here, and so on. Okay, so to check read after write dependence, how many comparators do you need? Right, comparators. What are the numbers of read after write comparators for this machine? How many comparators do you need? Okay. Can you find? So for example, this one should be compared with this one. If there is a match, then this instruction must be stopped, right? This source number must be compared with this one also, right? If there is a dependent, this must be stopped. So how many comparators total do you need? Okay, so for each source, yes, you have 2 source, and integer ALU, there are 2 destinations. So this source must be compared with 2 destinations, so you need 4 comparators, because each one has to be compared with each of integer ALU, integer pipeline instructions. Okay. And maybe here how many? 5 and 3. So how about 20? About 20 comparators. Understand? Okay? No idea? You have to check. You have to compare whether this is equal to this. This is computer. So this is equal, and you need equal of this one, right? And this one is separate, different number, so you need equal. So for integer ALU, you need 4 comparators to check read left to right dependence. Here you need 5 comparators. You need 3 comparators. Here 5 times 2, right? This 3 times 2, and so on. So total, you need 20 comparators to check read left to right dependence. And any of these comparators is matching, which means it's the same. Then there is a read left to right dependence, and the read stage instruction must be stopped until the producer exit the pipeline. Okay? And then it can release. Because exit the pipeline, it has written into the register file. It's writing to the register file in this cycle, you can read from the register file. Okay? And so on. Understood?
Why is it equal to?
Because you want to check read after write dependence. This is read stage instruction here, right? The load instructions are here. And the source operand R1 and R2 have to compare with destination R1 and R2 here. If it's the same, then you know that there is a read after write dependence. Then you can generate this pipeline control signal. Stop. Do you understand?
The first and second line of FDREW, and third line first R is not equal, so do R again, read again.
No, I don't know what you mean, but if you look at the pipeline, there is only in this pipeline, there are 5 instructions. Let's focus on this instruction at the read stage, which is multiply. Okay? You have to decide whether you allow it to proceed into the execution and write back, which is called the issue. You send it to the backend. Okay? Sending instruction into the execution unit is called the issue. You have to control issue, whether you issue or not. Because sometimes if you issue earlier, too fast, then it produces wrong result, since you violate read after write dependence. So, to check read after write dependence, you have to check if there is a producer in any of these execution pipelines. If there is a producer, that means still the producer has not produced the data, then you have to wait, right? To check those dependencies, then you have to compare the source register number at the read stage and destination register number at the execution and write back stage. So you need register number comparators. Execution no gauge, right? Understood? Okay. Okay. Your question.
코리아는 제가 좀 한국말로 좀 설명이 안 돼서 하세요.
Maybe you have to practice. So
근데 저왜 익스피스터
in English. This is English class. You have to practice. It's okay. Just try to express it.
익스피스터 스테이지 왜 하나를 드는데?
Why execution stage is what?
왜 카운트 보고
Excuse me?
why 카운트 보고 each execution stage
Counted for one? So assumption is here execution stage means this is adder. The assumption is adder takes one CPU cycle. Like fetch, decode, that all takes some time, right? The assumption is addition takes one CPU cycle. Here, the assumption for floating point is floating point to multiply, add, floating point operation takes 4 cycles. It's complex than integer addition. And memory access takes 2 cycles. Those are all assumptions. Okay, so sometimes it depends on the operation. Sometimes it takes 1 cycle, or sometimes it takes 4 cycle or 2 cycle.
근데 for each cycle there is not one more than one.
What do you mean by more than 1?
Register can be many.
But there is, yeah, register can be many, right? So there is a register file. Register file is a memory, but register file usually provides, so if you, for this pipeline, so there should be, you have to read, so there is a register file, which is a set of registered, okay? And read stage instruction is reading 2 registered. It's reading 2, right? You have 2 read. And at the write back stage, it's writing to 1, okay? So every cycle register file, you can read 2 and you can write 1. And this is called port. Each memory cell can, every time it can actually read 2 registered and 1 destination. Every cycle. Then you allow this pipeline. Okay, other question? Okay.
Could you define about comparators?
Comparators. So register ID is a 5-bit number, right? So comparator equal is same as exclusive NOR, right? Same or not? You know exclusive OR, right? This is exclusive NOR. So each bit you have exclusive NOR gate. So 5-bit exclusive NOR gate. That's the comparators. Okay?
Why do we compare both execution stage and write stage?
Because execution at write back stage, there are producers. The focus is at the read stage instruction because you are generating pipeline control store at the read stage. Okay? Read stage is potentially a consumer. It's trying to read to source. But the producer, so you have to guarantee the producer is still, you have to check whether the producer still is in the pipeline. Right? Producer can only exist at the execution at the write back stage. If they are not, then producer has already written to the register file. So you don't have to check the dependence, right? But if the producer is still at the execution or write back stage, they did not write to register file. So you should not read from the register file and you have to stop until producer finish writing back to the register file. Understand? 뭐 이렇게 철학적으로 생각할 거 없는 건데 이거 굉장히 쉬운 건데. Computer architecture, there is no complex things. It's simple. Producer is trying to read, and you have to look at the consumer is trying to read, right? You have to check the producers. Producer should complete before this consumer can read from the register file. Agreed? Right? But if the producer is still at the execution or write back stage, then you should wait until producer finish. Clear? That's why you're checking read after write dependence. If you find there is a match, then producer is still in the pipeline, and you have to wait until the producer complete. Clear?
Are the backend units also pipeline?
Excuse me?
Are the backend units also pipeline?
Backend,
Unit?
that's another good question. Actually, backend unit, this is 1 cycle integer ALU, this is writing back to register file. So totally we call the pipeline, but this is not pipeline. You don't have to make it pipeline. But here, floating point unit, we have 2 options because floating point operation takes 4 cycles. So this is assuming pipeline floating point unit, but you can implement non-pipeline floating point unit, which is more like this. You have to distinguish between these two. This is pipeline floating point unit. This is non-pipeline floating point unit. Okay? The difference is floating point operation take in both implementation 4 cycles because floating point operation takes complex. But pipeline floating point unit, every cycle you can issue new floating point instruction into the pipeline because pipeline floating point operation is divided into 4 stages. So after they be processed at the first stage, the first floating point instruction goes to second stage, and you can send a new floating point instruction. So if you have a series of floating point operation, this can be processed. It can actually generate floating point result every cycle due to the pipeline. But here it's not pipeline. It means you have non-pipeline floating point unit. So if you have back-to-back, 2 consecutive floating point instructions coming into the instruction pipeline, you send first one to the floating point unit, it's busy for 4 cycles, right? If you have second instruction, this is busy. So the second instruction must wait until it finish, right? So it's for 4 more cycles. After 4 cycles, it can be issued to the floating point unit. So it depends on the execution unit. If the operation latency takes more than 2 cycles, right? Greater than or equal to 2 cycles, you have an option. You make it pipeline or you don't make it pipeline. That's a good question. Okay? 다른 질문? Other question?
What does that mean?
So you have 2 source operand, register operand here for the read stage instruction. So for each source, this source, you need comparator for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? This source, you need another 10. So you multiply, so 10 multiplied by 2 source. That's what I mean. Number of comparators.
The real multiplication at the third line R, FD and RRR.
Mm-hmm.
Each R takes 20 comparators.
No. This is pipeline diagram, but this is number of cycles. But in actually, you have only one pipeline fetch, decode, read, execute, write back. Right? So you need only 20 comparators for the read stage, that's all. It generates store, and it's showing the store. It's only showing the store. Hardware, there are only 20 comparators. Right? You have to think about space and time. This is showing time series, but in the space here, and comparators are only there. You need only 20 comparators. It can generate all kinds of stores. It can be 2 cycle store or 5 cycle store, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Other question?
If we use non-pipeline PU,
Mm-hmm.
so cycle, so comparators, so 2 source times 2
Yeah,
one.
it should be 1. That's right. If this is non-pipeline, if I assume non-pipeline floating point unit, read after write number of read after write comparators for floating point unit should be 1 instead of 5 because there is, it should be 2 because 1, 2, right? Instead of 5 because here there is only 1 floating point unit instruction. Okay, good question. Other question? 알겠죠? Okay? Okay. You also need to check write after write dependence as you have seen in this example. If you allow the following instruction to proceed, then write can occur out of order. It can cause problem later. So you have to check write after write dependence. So assuming 1, 2, 3, this 3 integer ALU pipeline floating point unit and memory pipeline Okay, how many right after right comparators do we need? How many? I'll give you 5 bonus points. First come, first served. The correct answer.
Can you repeat the question?
So for read after write, we need 20 register comparators, right? For write after write, how many comparators do you need? That's my question. Number of write after write comparators. How many? Okay, you first. Okay. 10, no. 14, no. 19, no. 7, no. You have to eliminate as many as you can, because sometimes you can check right after right, but some of them are unnecessary. So you have to make it small, right? It's a random guess? No. Okay.
6.
No. No.
질문이 이렇게 동시에
You have to speak in English. Okay? Just practice.
we have to compare in same state. Same.
I don't know. Just I'm asking how many. No, not that many. Less than 20. No. 2? No. 5? No.
1.
Ignored. No.
Isn't it dependent to the unit?
Excuse me?
Isn't it dependent on unit?
Right, I have shown this example. Assuming these 3 execution units, how many right after right comparator do you need? No.
It's like less than 20.
Yes, less than 20, more than 1. Seven is repeated 3 times. Okay? No. 6, no.
13.
No. No. No.
8.
You have to explain, okay? It's not just by a guess. How many? No. It's a simple question. Okay, I raise bonus point to 10 points. And you have to clearly explain, okay? Not just number, okay? Number you can just enumerate from 1 to 20. and you have to explain. Okay. No. Four? Why? Can you explain?
Yes.
Okay. So where?
Because right after right dependence is only occurs when the execution cycle takes more than one cycle.
That's right. Okay.
So we have to check the destination of the read cycle between and the execution.
So can you? So which instruction you have to compare? So you have to compare this destination
between the FPU or execution cycles over there.
here. No, it's close. I'll give you 3 bonus points. So send the email to TA. Okay, 3 bonus points. You are close. Yeah, go ahead.
For execution, got the last 3 execution and write. They check the 4.
Here? These 4? No. Okay.
Because in memory space,
Uh-huh.
there are double execution spaces.
Okay. Yes.
It can be 1 and FPU.
Mm-hmm.
There is 3.
Okay, there are 3 and there are 1. Which one? which one and which 3?
Maybe the first and second.
Here?
Yeah, can be.
You need to check this one. Okay, so 1 comparator, 2 comparator, and you said 2 more. Which one?
The third one
Okay.
and the last one in memory.
This one?
Yeah.
You know why? Can you explain why?
Because you need to can I explain in Korean?
Okay.
그러니까요. 투 익스큐션 타임이 필요하잖아요.
Mm-hmm.
그래서 이제 그 저기 뒤에 이제 write 하기 전에 익스큐션 2개가 이제 하나로
You need to think. I'll give you 5 bonus points. You are very close. Very close. And 5 bonus points. And 3 bonus points, 5 bonus. I think I'll explain. Okay? I'll explain. Because it does not make sense to get more answers because you both of you give some hint. I'll give you 5 bonus points too because you are the first answer. So 2 students will get 5 bonus points. Send email to TA and just CC to me. Okay? 5 bonus points to your midterm exam. So here, good, very good, but just a little bit. Here it has to worry about right after right dependence. Sometimes there is earlier producer. If you allow this to proceed, sometimes some earlier producer is writing later. It can overwrite. That can cause problem. But if you look at instructions here, 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 it's okay. Because these instructions will finish in 2 cycles anyway. And if you send this instruction, it takes also 2 cycles. So these instructions will complete earlier than the instruction at the read stage. So you don't have to worry about these instructions. The only instructions are here. You have to worry about. They might overwrite you. Okay? So you need 4 computers. Okay? So I think she had similar something in mind, but she couldn't express well. But I'll give you 5 bonus points. Clear?
But is that the number of sources?
No. Destination. For right after right,
Only here.
you don't have to worry about this. You have to worry about destination. So you need here, there, and you need 4 computers. Okay? So these are computers to check read after write and write after write dependence. If there is any dependence is found, then you have to stop this instruction. You have to recycle this instruction at the next cycle. So they stay there. And then this instruction must be stopped as well. Fetch, decode, read instruction. This is called pipeline store. Okay? Understood? Okay, so for those of you who didn't get any bonus so far, I'll give you another bonus question. Okay? So this one is a little complex. So I'll give you, it will start from 7 bonus points. 7 bonus points. You need read after write dependence and write after write dependence for this pipeline. This is another pipeline. And we studied this write after read dependence. But write after read dependence violation cannot occur in this pipeline. Cannot occur in this in-order pipeline. Write after read dependence violation can occur in out-of-order pipeline, which we do not study, right? But in in-order pipeline we are studying, write after read violation cannot occur. And who can prove that write after read violation in this pipeline should not occur? If anybody can explain theoretically, okay, logically, I'll give him 7 bonus points. 7 bonus points.
Right after it uses out of order pipeline, so that use 2 more than pipeline. So
I don't know what you mean. Right? You don't have to worry about out of order pipeline at all. You just focus on this pipeline. In this pipeline, you are trying to, even if you don't worry about write after read dependence, you don't have to worry about write after read dependence. It cannot happen. You have to prove why.
because read always comes before the write.
Okay. Is that all?
Space. Yeah.
No. You have to think more. That's one clue. You are giving one clue. You need to think more. Okay? Ten bonus points. 10 bonus points. You need to think more. The focus. Why? Think more.
Right? So R happens before the W.
Mm-hmm.
So the before at the before line, at the read occurs, and the next line R occurs, and
You are close. You need to express it more clearly.
before the first the read occurs in the right letter read and the next line right, but the next line before the next line right occurs, the right and the read occurs, and after the first line read occurs. So
Can you show the relationship here? Can you come to here and you have similar idea? I'll give you second chance. So wait a minute. Speak.
first this all occurs and the next some lines.
Another instruction. There is
Another instruction.
another line. Okay.
Maybe the R occurs after this R.
Okay. So
And the next and last the right occurs, and so the right after read cannot do this comparators.
very good. Very good. 10 bonus points. 10 bonus points. Understood? Understood? Okay, so what he is trying to say here is, assume that we have two instructions, 1 and 2. We are worrying about this. So the first instruction is going through the pipeline. And if you look at the first instruction, if you look at R1 and W1, there is always this ordering. The instruction 1, there should be a read first, and then there is a write. Read occurred before write for the same instruction. Okay? There is another instruction, maybe after the first instruction, there is also this relationship. Okay? The same instruction, the read of second instruction occur before the write of the same instruction. And we assume in-order pipeline. In-order pipeline means instructions going through instruction pipeline always in program order. So if you compare this read 1 and read 2, the first instruction, the read of first instruction must occur before the read of the second instruction, right? Because these are in-order pipeline. Okay? So whenever we assume these two instructions, instruction 1 and instruction 2, instruction 1 is always ahead of instruction 2. So these are transitive relationship. So we can guarantee that the first instruction, read of the first instruction always occur before the write of the second instruction. And write to read violation is when this relationship is reversed. But as we have seen in this diagram, this is guaranteed in this pipeline. So this violation cannot occur in another pipeline. Okay, agreed? So in Itanium processor, which is a 64-bit Intel server processor, which is 6th issue, superscalar, it's very high performance processor. So there are read after write comparators and write after write comparators. Itanium processor is in-order pipeline. It's not out-of-order pipeline. So there are no single write after read comparators for Itanium processor. There is only read after write and write after write comparators. But those are 6 issues, much larger and many more back-end functional units. There are more than 1,000 comparators. 1,000 comparators. It's more complex, right? To check read after write, write after write, there are many comparators for Itanium.
The previous page.
Mm-hmm.
Here the fourth line has the same order. The fourth read comes after the third read, but the fourth line comes before the third.
What? What do you mean? These reads are always in order, right? Read.
Yeah, but you said that's out of
Read.
order.
Which one is out of order?
Fourth.
Fourth? Why? Read and read.
Is it different with the out of order completion?
No. This is in-order pipeline. Out-of-order completion can occur in in-order pipeline. This is not out-of-order pipeline. Reads are always occur in order, by definition, because they are going through the pipeline. If some instruction ahead are stalling at the read stage, then you cannot read. Right? It's impossible by the hardware. Right? It's blocked. And after the first instruction is issued to the backend, then it can go to the read stage. Can never happen. Okay, clear? Okay. Okay, let's go to this bypass. Okay, so we understand this pipeline a little better. Okay, now you understand pipeline a little better. Still, you can check dependence and you can stop the pipeline to produce the correct result. But read after write dependence can happen very frequently, as in this example, and it will slow down the machine. Okay? Whenever you have read after write dependence, then it generates 2 cycle storage. Can you overcome this read after write dependence? Can you do that better? Is there any other way that we can accelerate this read after write dependence? And the answer is yes. Yes. So right now here, if you look at this pipeline, the read stage multiply instruction is trying to read R1 and R2. R1 is being written at the current cycle, so it cannot read from the register file. Okay, it can read R1, but it cannot read R2. So here it generates 2 cycle store, and finally, third cycle it can read from the register file. Okay? So this is read after write dependence. But can you do that better? Can you do that better? Yes. The idea is, if you look at here, read stage, it already loads from memory and it's writing back to register file. So at the end of this cycle, memory produces the result and you are just writing to register file. If you send directly to here, you can read it here because the data is available. Okay? And also here, it's trying to read from the register file, but if you look at the end of this cycle, it's already available. Okay? So you can view this as you read either from the register file or you get it right away from the memory or get it right away from the ALU. That's bypass. You don't have to wait until the data is written to register file. As soon as you compute, you get the data right away by sending it to the transmission wire, to the wire. It's just receive it directly. That is called bypass. Bypass. Okay? So here, it's trying to read R2 and R3. R2 and R3. R2 is available, but R3 is at the end you finish multiplication. So instead of reading from the register file, you get the data from the multiplier. So you have 2 paths at the read stage. You read either from the register file or you get it from the multiplier. If the multiplier and register file read takes same amount of time, then you have 2 choices. Right? If the producer is producing from the multiplier, you get it from the multiplier right away instead of waiting until it's written to the register file. That is called bypass. So there are multiple sources can come from. It can come from the register file, it can come from the memory, it can come from the floating point unit, or it can come from the ALU. So you need some input mux. Okay? And you have to select which one. It depends on the read after write comparison result. If the read after write comparison result shows you have to get this data, then you have to get it from there. That is called bypass. Understood? Okay? That's possible. It's called data bypass and data forwarding. then you can accelerate the pipeline. So data bypass is you minimize the pipeline stall due to read after write dependence. There's too many read after write dependence because program is produced in that way. You produce and consume, produce and consume. And whenever you have this dependence, you have to stop, then it will slow down the pipeline. So can you do that better? Yes, the answer is yes. Let's propagate the result as soon as the result is available from ALU or from memory or floating point unit. Just get it from there. Okay? So you have only choice. Read from the raster file or get it right away from the memory or ALU. Okay? So it requires data path. So you need wired. You send directly to the wired. So you need to transmit 32-bit data from the ALU to the so actually at the beginning of this stage there is always input mux. This is ALU. If you think about ALU, you receive two source and you produce one destination, right? Because you are doing A plus B. Okay? You read for either you get it from the raster file or sometimes you get it from the memory or sometimes you get it from the ALU. Okay? You need the input mux. So you need wired from ALU output to the input of execution unit. Okay, and later read stage is you can read from the raster file, or if you look at this input, the data can come from the output of previous execution stage, which might be ALU memory or floating point unit. And since you need selection, you need the input mux. Okay. That's the data bypass. And this is the logic used in your textbook, Computer Organization and Design by Patterson and Hennessy. And he's showing the same diagram, but his pipeline is also 5-stage, but it's a little different from my pipeline. So he assumed fetch, decode, execute, memory, write back. A little different. Okay? So there is no read stage. And he changed a little bit. So decode stage, he assumed he can read from the raster file. And execution stage, you are doing arithmetic computation or memory address calculation. And then memory stage, you access memory, and then you write back. Okay? And if you look at here, this is without bypass, this is with bypass. With bypass, sometimes if you look at here, the data might come from the raster file. So this is integer ALU. At the beginning, you have two sources. Okay, produce one destination. And for each input, you have an input mux. If you look at this input mux, it can come from the raster file, or it can come from the integer ALU output. It can come from the memory output. You need to select. This forwarding unit, you will check the dependencies, same as read after write dependence checking, right? And the result will select which one you have to choose. For each input mux, this forwarding unit is checking the dependence, it's selecting the right input. Okay? Then you can eliminate this read after write dependence storage by having this data bypass or data forwarding. Okay? Okay, so let's go back to the same program example. So we have two, how many? 1, 2, 3. 8 cycles stored because of read after write dependence for this program. Okay? But with data bypass, you can eliminate all this read after write storage, since you can bypass directly. Okay? So let's look at here. This multiply is trying to read R1 and R2. R1, while you are writing, the first instruction is writing to the raster file, you can also send it to here. Okay? R2, as soon as the memory produces the data, is sent directly to the input box of the execution unit. So it can be bypassed. Okay? So you eliminate this 2-cycle store using the bypass. So this is showing the bypass. So here it's reading R3 and R2. R2 is bypassed, R3 is bypassed, and so you can eliminate read after write dependent storage, and it can be accelerated. You're on the stack top. 약간 졸았지? 다 끝났어 이제. 여러분이 가끔 피곤할 때는 if you are too tired, you just sleep. You need to take some time, take a nap and sleep. Okay? So if you sleep and if you get a rest, then you recover from your, fatigue. So 무리하게 아주 공부하고 이럴 필요 없어. 피곤하면 자요. 갔다가 자면 오늘은 여기까지 합시다.